I miss my babies. I like you now. Fuck. Why does this hurt so much? I never expected a full-on dominatrix
with a surprise appearance from the fish people.
Impel Down is the latest One Piece arc I have completed here on the channel, and boy, do I have a lot to say about this one. I'm wearing my chopper hat because one, it's actually pretty freaking comfortable, and two, I am in protest that the crew is not with Luffy right now, and this is how I'm protesting that. I want them back, damn it. Seriously, every time he meets someone new who kind of like joins up with him in this arc, I'm like, oh, you're cool, and Oda's making me like you. It's a great reintroduction of a character we've seen before. I do not think you've earned the spot. You have not earned the spot. No!
How dare you stand where he stood?
I am aware that's in direct contrast of Luffy's just ability to invite random strangers on occasionally, but come on, there's a bit of like, you earned this.
Which goes to speak on how Oda has successfully crafted it so that I do genuinely love this crew. I enjoy spending time with just Luffy and these new interesting challenges for him, but I miss my babies. Is Chopper okay? But this arc I have quite a bit to say about once again. I'm constantly looking to like cover multiple arcs in once in these videos so that I can increase progress, but really to get all my thoughts out and to not have my notes to become this unimaginable pile where I can't keep them all straight for the review, I once again need to talk about just this one. And narratively, this is actually a very straightforward arc. It's actually rather simplistic, which I don't mean as a criticism. That's actually a compliment because Oda consistently, when he is constrained story-wise in some manner, seems to just creatively come about with a way to tell that story that I never would have seen coming, and makes me all the more vested in the wider scope of things throughout it, because really the story of Impel Down is as simple as Luffy wants to break into prison to save brother. He breaks into prison, letting other people out along the way who are previous cast of characters we've seen before and newcomers. Finds out brother is not there. On the way out, Blackbeard and new crew come in as well, trying to set free some people they want to find. Clashing between parties, Luffers and this party realize they don't really need to fight right now, move past each other, Luffers escape, Blackbeard get what he wants, he escape as well. That is a remarkably boiled down version of this story, but at its very bare bones, that is narratively what happens here. But of course, Oda being Oda, the meat around those bones is what you really need to pay attention to and experience. Not only was the actual meat of this story so delicious, but the nice coating of fat over top in the humor and the creative choices of like the decoration, the stuff that's really not like critically what I'm paying attention to, but I do just enjoy. It makes it just a nice, smoother experience going down, was some of the best I've ever seen from One Piece. Why am I turning in this to a human flesh vessel? I don't know, but what would the skin be? Because this is a prison. Like, narratively, you are constrained with visually what you can show, and Oda leans into that while also rejecting the constraints simultaneously. Because I would say, in terms of the backdrop, this is a rather bland arc for the manga. I never really found myself super blown away by the nature or anything I'm seeing because it's just not there. It's a prison and it looks like a prison. And then when it comes to the outfits and character designs, a lot of people are very much so held back because they're wearing prison uniforms. But that ended up working for the setting overall. This prison feels like a pit, and it literally is one. There actually is this constraint of it's just down and up, which actually kind of helped the narrative as well. We'll get into that in a second here. But I like how Oda leaned into the idea of making a prison in this world just the most dark and dire place for a while, and then he instead introduces us to a cast of characters that are arguably the most flamboyant and energetic we've come across here. Like, good God. So the biggest strengths here are often what the biggest weaknesses were in Amazon Lily, because Amazon Lily I think had a rather boring island. It didn't really use the environment very effectively, and the side characters I found to be very lackluster. Here we have some of the most interesting reintroduction of characters, as well as brilliant new side characters, a very effective use of the environment and world building within that environment that kind of implied a larger history, especially with that old disgraced warden. It just mixed so well. And that's because Oda really seems to be someone who has a lot of fun with their storytelling. Like, I really believe this person is enjoying crafting One Piece. That might be a dumb thing to say, but trust me, after talking to a lot of authors, there are people who love their story, but the actual time they spend crafting it can be a slog for them. I do not get the feeling that is what Oda is experiencing while he's crafting this story. How else in the world would you come up with this? But let's talk about this colorful cast of characters, and let's rewind a little bit and talk about the people we are reintroduced, because we get like Buggy again. Someone I never really had much attachment to. We also get Mr. 3 and Mr. 1, just like a continual reintroduction of previous villains and people you would expect to be locked up here that Luffy's encountered before. Except they, in Oda fashion, it's predictable to even say at this point, you end up loving them. Same treatment as Hachi, like you just kind of are like, I like you now. Fuck. And that's largely done through the humor that is provided through them. I especially liked the introduction with Buggy. I kind of, again, alternated between manga and anime for this, but Buggy in the anime, when he's running with Luffy from some guards, they're like, oh my god, we're gonna... Wait, did you come to save me, Luffy? Dude! And of course, Luffy's like, no! But they end up forming this makeshift crew, and Luffy is stronger as a character when he has a crew. I liked in Amazon Lily just getting the full nothing but Luffy experience, but I don't find that to be particularly sustainable for my own investment. He's a great character, but he's best when he has people he has a dynamic with to play off of, and then they essentially have to work to contain Luffy. It's always a good time to have that going on, and these people, this stand-in cast, because they are not the real crew, did a wonderful job of acting as that for us. But this prison is broken down into levels. I think it's 1 through 6, and Luffy is making his way through it, and this is a video game-esque story design, in my opinion. Like, this is something you would typically see, and, you know, feel free to disagree with me, but like in a game where there's like literal levels you need to make your way through.
We also get this darker angle of how, like, the deeper into the prison you go, the worse it is, and how you earn getting deeper is a higher bounty. So suddenly there's like this sick, twisted edge to all this Luffy getting happy about a higher bounty, where it's like, you sure about that?
And I was expecting Luffy to just beat more and more powerful enemies and prove how strong he is once again, because I felt like the story kind of needed that, but I was just kind of like, all right, we're gonna get Luffy showing off how badass he is, going up against stronger and stronger prisoners. That's the expectation. I was wrong. Luffy loses here again, and in a fashion that doesn't depower or diminish Luffy, and for a very specific reason why. There is a warden here named Magellan, and he might be one of the strongest people we've encountered so far. He's also kind of an idiot, we'll get into that too. But when Luffy goes up against this warden, I was kind of expecting him to be a big boss fight that Luffy overcomes by going to like gear 30 million, I don't know, and just kind of finally having that victory for himself, but he loses. And it's because this warden's devil fruit power is poison, and I can't really think of many people who have any counter to this. Maybe the lightning guy from before, because he can like go incorporeal, so he'd be fine, but like, this guy poisons Luffy and Luffy's gonna die, and he's like thrown in a level to be left for dead, but he's saved by someone else. But this sent a clear message that this is someone who can just take out Luffy no problem again. And Luffy is now operating in the part of the world where he is, I'd say, a middle tier fighter at best. And I love that. That's actually great. That's one of my favorite things that's actually compelling me to keep burning through One Piece at this point, is this essentially new area Luffy has unlocked where he went from being like the king of where he came from to... And then let's talk about the Blackbeard crew that's making their way through, because they are pushing down, trying to get to their objective, more prisoners they want to find, and actually they end up encountering this warden who takes out the entire Blackbeard invasion party. They're saved later on and healed, but this guy just took out some of the most built up villains in One Piece, a whole crew just like poison. Ah!
Specifically, they are saved by the former warden, which sets up a beautiful rivalry here in the future for how that's going to be handled. It's something that I really enjoy about One Piece's storytelling. Just through actions alone, there's like beef set up that can be, I'm sure, addressed down the road, because that's how Oda tells a story. It's just layers on layers, and an antidote is logically provided by this former warden who would understand how to take out this person he obviously has a relationship, or at least stop their poison.
So is he like the new supreme force here? I guess Whitebeard would still be stronger because Whitebeard's crazy, but Jesus. But a crucial mistake is made because the warden is seeing like, okay, Luffy's causing all this chaos down below. I need help. And the help he gets is by freeing a previous warden who was someone who apparently abused the crap out of their power, was a terrible person. Freeing a prisoner in this situation, what you're offering them is, hey, come on out, help me regain control of this place, and then I'll put you back in your cell. Maybe like a reduced sentence is what I'll give you. Or the person you're freeing can murder their way to freedom quite easily because you just let them out of their cell. Guess which option this former warden takes? He goes for the freedom one? You idiot! Jesus Christ, who does that? Advice for any wardens who might be watching this: if your prison's under attack, don't rely on prisoners to help you regain control of your prison. But we really do get a feel for everyone who's at play here, from Bonkiri to Ivankov and the Newkama, I think that's how you say, who are such a lively, awesome energy on these pages. I loved having them here, and the way they kind of end up banding together with Luffy and everyone ends up getting off is just like, of course, I want my old crew back. But it's exciting to see this new alliance forming. And then I remember where all this narrative is heading, this war that's being talked about to come, and I know everyone here is gonna play a role. Oh, damn.
Alright, another punishment for myself for not including this information in the video. So we also have Luffy setting free a bunch of people who are clearly, we know for sure, morally questionable. This brings Luffy's morals into question as well. How morally righteous can he be when he's letting these people free, knowing they've not only harmed innocents, but directly his friends? This makes me kind of believe Luffy is truly chaotic everything. This guy does not have a moral compass. He wants to adventure and pirate. Anything beyond that is not directly in front of his nose, he has a really hard time grasping the larger picture of. Luffy is not stupid, but he is a force of nature. I am actually adding layers to this philosophy now. But I will follow up this criticism of Luffy's character and possible inconsistencies I'll wait to be proven wrong there with saying one of my favorite moments occurs when Luffy is saving all these people like Crocodile from their cells, and he ends up having someone join who's just like, sure, I'll help, and Luffy's like, great. And then someone else comments like, now we have 2 warlords among us, and Luffy's like, wait, who's a warlord? That was hilarious and I loved it. Top 10 Luffy moment.
And of course, in Oda fashion, there's world building within this prison. Yes, for the larger expansive war I'm talking about that's being built towards, but also within the prison itself, because there is a prisoner's paradise that some prisoners have managed to escape away to, and I love this. Who thinks of this? It works, it's great, I love it, it's awesome. I guess I also need to take a moment to talk about Sadie. I never expected a full-on dominatrix to come into One Piece, but this really does help solidify One Piece as something more aimed for adults, because yes, there has been sexual undertones throughout this entire series, but now we are having someone who is an active member of the BDSM community and taking out their fantasy on prisoners. Totally, you should adapt One Piece into a kids anime where you take out everything that's not okay for them. Oh, I was just told about how that happened to your franchise. I'm sorry, that's horrible. Oh my god. But okay, I honestly did enjoy this character. I found them to be an interesting new threat, someone who obviously adds a bit of flavor to this prison, and in contrast with the dark, dreary backdrop, having these over-the-top crazy villains was something that, again, brought the energy in that I expected to be lacking, but was fervently there. She has one of the most interesting fights, actually, throughout this entire arc as well, so her, like, power unveiling was really interesting. But okay, let's get back to the narrative here and talk about how this resolves, because Luffy and his crew are managing to get back topside, and Magellan is right on their tail. He has unveiled his devil fruit powers with poison, have some substantial leveling up, and he can actually essentially take out this entire prison, which has some really dark implications of why this person is warden. It seems like they're warden because if a situation like this arises, they could just kill every prisoner and be like, okay, they can't escape. Wow. The only reason he's unable to do this is because a lot of the prisoners are already out, and it seems like he wouldn't have time for his poison to kill everyone. But if he activated them earlier on, he could have essentially just genocided this prison. A devil fruit power is used from Iva to actually bring them all out onto a ship that has been captured by prisoners, so they are able to make their escape. And to their amazement, the gates are opening, and to Magellan's dismay, he's like, why in the hell are these people being allowed to leave? And it turns out that Mr. 2, using their devil fruit abilities, has turned himself into a copy of Magellan and is ordering the gate open. We then see this play out as you would think, as Magellan then finds this person impersonating them, and after so much heartbreaking loss in One Piece, this hit harder than it should have, especially somebody who you like shouldn't have that much love for, but because Oda'd you do. Seeing Luffy's heartbreak hurt all the more. Why does this hurt so much? It's so much fun, but there's so much pain. We then see the aftermath of everything that happened, and it appears that Luffy and Buggy are being primarily held responsible for what's happening. And on the ship they've escaped on itself, a potential mutiny is about to arise before Buggy calms everyone down and says, look, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with everything that's building here to help take down Whitebeard, and we cannot lose this. So he manages to actually build himself a crew, which makes the factions at play here so interesting. There's the Marines, there's these warlords of the sea, these now escaped rebel pirates, Whitebeard and his forces, everything coming together, and I just don't know what's going to go on. We then see a scene with Ace, who's being taken to the gallows, and he remembers his promise to Luffy. It's very heartfelt, but now I'm going to do something I have not done in a One Piece review yet, and that is get into my insane predictions. It's a very hard series to predict. I genuinely don't know. I haven't made predictions because Oda, he's just willing. Just think of all, there's been a fucking ballooned octopus. Like, I don't know. But what I think will happen. Okay, now it's time for Daniel Does One Piece Conspiracy Theory Prediction video. Let's test the mic here. What we have in play right now is the big old white beard. This is the guy who a lot of people want to come towards and get at. I think he's a good guy. I think he's been misled in some ways. He's a good person. He's fighting for what's right. Then we got the world government. These are bad guys. This is a pirate story. Of course the government's bad guys. If you've seen any pirate story before, you would know. So then over here, we have the crew. They're all scattered. They're everywhere. We don't know what's going on with the crew. They are going to unify when this big climactic battle happens. When this fight between world government and Whitebeard's going on, crew gets to resynchronize and fully meet up there. Then what we have here is the fact that during this fight, Whitebeard's going to die. How's it gonna be done? I have an idea. So Whitebeard's gonna be taken out by the fact that the guy who can change his face isn't dead. It was a fake out death. And he's gonna be used by the world government to get close to Whitebeard so they can take him out. This is gonna cost the world government dearly though. Pyrrhic victory for him, to be honest. And then that's when all these other pirates who have been a factor this whole time, who are kind of just chaotic middle ground, are gonna start a new age power struggle. And that's gonna be the time skip I've heard about for so long. These pirates are gonna come in and the world government is no longer gonna be able to control them because so many of their big hitters are gonna be taken out during this combat. And then finally, something we've had hinted at, especially in this arc, we're then gonna have the fish people come in and be another big power player trying to push for a position because we've seen them so much just discriminated against and pushed against. There's no way in this pirate story the fish people aren't gonna have their time to shine. So if you can look at this quite clearly, my thoughts on the future of One Piece are laid out. I don't think anyone from the crew is going to die. They are safe, though many members of this makeshift crew
Luffy has just put together will die in this conflict, because as we saw in this arc, they're not necessarily loyal to each other, they're kind of acting on their own, and without the cohesion that we see from the crew, this will result in many of them perishing, if not even all of them. And that is why they've been reassembled for this battle, where we see many of the world government characters die. We're gonna see Whitebeard die from the guy who can change his face, getting close to him. The crew is gonna be okay, they'll come out fine, reunifying here, giving us that big emotional moment. And then all these scattered various pirates who are gonna take this as an opportunity, because they're pirates, duh, will swoop into the vacuum with a surprise appearance from the fish people. That's why we had the first of the sea, or whatever you called him, introduced here and hinted at so heavily. I'm big brain, I figured it out. Don't spoil it for me if I'm wrong.
That's my thoughts as of right now, and I can't wait to see where this actually ends up going. This was a really nice arc. I think I'd give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it more than the last one, especially due to the side character work that seemed like such a redemption from the lack of interesting side characters of Amazon Lily. But anyway, everyone, let me know what you thought of this review in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Always love a good prison break.